Comedy legend Louis Black is bringing Goodbye Yeller Brick Road, the final tour, to Steelhouse on Sunday, February 25th. Tickets go on sale Friday, November 17th at 10 a.m. Get yours at steelhouseomaha.com.
The holidays start here at Baker's with a variety of options to celebrate traditions old and new. You could do a classic herb-roasted turkey or spice it up and make turkey tacos. Serve up a go-to shrimp cocktail or use Simple Truth wild-caught shrimp for your first Cajun risotto. Make creamy mac and cheese or a spinach artichoke fondue from our selection of Murray's cheese. No matter how you shop, Baker's has all the freshest ingredients to embrace all your holiday traditions. Baker's, fresh for everyone.
Hey, it's Storyworthy. Today on the show, comedian and writer Chris Gethard talks about how he learned he could kill a man.
I walk across the room and I hand this knife to this guy, George. And when I put this knife in his hand, two things happened. One is he looked down at it with the demeanor of an alcoholic who has just had a shot placed in front of him. And I will never forget the words he said, which is he looked at the knife and he goes, "Hello, beautiful." So this baby monitor is directly between me and George. And all of a sudden, I just hear, I could not believe the timing. My son wakes up early from his nap. And George turns and looks at me with this knife in his hand and goes, "Caleb's home?"
Today on the show, comedian and writer Chris Gethard talks about how he learned he could kill a man. Stay close.
Hi, my name's Chris Gethard, and you're listening to Storyworthy.
Welcome to Storyworthy. My name is Christine Blackburn, and I'm coming to you from Los Angeles, California. Whether you're a longtime fan of the show or a new listener, welcome to Storyworthy. Speaking of, Storyworthy and the time, guess what? This is my 800th episode. What? 800. Yes, it's true. I started back in 2010, and Storyworthy's really been going strong this whole entire time. So I know there's many, many shows you need to go back and check out. But not today. Stick around today, because today I'm re-airing a story from writer and comedian Chris Gethard talking about the scariest night of his life. And he calls it the night he learned he could kill a man. And it is intense. You guys are going to love this story by comedian and writer Chris Gethard. I don't know if you remember, but Chris Gethard, he's written on a lot of wonderful shows like The Office and Parks and Rec and Inside Amy Schumer. And he also wrote on HBO's Crashing, which I really liked. And he wrote on my kids' favorite show, Space Force. He also has a couple of podcasts that are really very good. The first is called Beautiful Anonymous, where he talks with a perfect stranger for like a half hour. And the goal of the show is that Chris can't hang up. They have to hang up first. It's a really good hook. Again, Beautiful Anonymous. And he has another show called New Jersey is the World. That's right. New Jersey is the world. And boy, they go through every town in New Jersey. And whatever you don't know about the Garden State, you will learn. That's what I'll say about that. Anyway, you guys, I'm really happy you're listening to Storyworthy. And this July, coming up right now, July 10th, that is my 13th year anniversary. That's right. It'll be 13 years on July 10th. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I also have a new podcast called My Life in 3 Songs. And if you haven't listened to My Life in 3 Songs yet, please do that. It's exclusively on Spotify because we listen to songs that comedians choose as the 3 most impactful songs of their life. So not necessarily their favorite songs, but songs that paint a picture of where they grew up and who they really are. So please check out My Life in 3 Songs. And Story Smash, the storytelling game show, is back on Saturday, July 15th. It's at the Lyric Hyperion Theater in Los Angeles. And I'm not kidding, you guys. Yeah, I know it's my show, but it's the funniest goddamn show you're ever going to see. I'm not kidding. It's a game show. It's hilarious. So check out storysmashshow.com for more information and follow Story Smash on Instagram at Story Smash. All right, you guys, wherever you are, put your hands together for the very talented Chris Gethard.
So we mentioned that my son was born in April of 2019, and I learned that I could kill another human being in December of 2019. It's the type of thing that you always wonder about. You watch movies where people are just like killing each other. I'm like, I wonder if I had to, if I would have what it takes. And I had a moment where I knew I might have to, and I will. And I'm not even overthinking it. I'm not even feeling bad. I lived in New York City for 16 years. And in New York City, I think everybody knows there's like a trope, right? There's the trope of the Christmas tree sales. And I think anybody who's ever watched like a Christmas movie set in New York knows exactly what I'm talking about, let alone if you've been through New York, which is there's these people and a lot of them just come down from Canada. And these Canadian guys, they sleep in a van for a few weeks next to the trees. And that's where you go and you buy your Christmas trees. That's how New Yorkers get Christmas trees, from like itinerant Canadians who live in vans. That's true. And you can look it up. That's who most of these people are. And I'd been doing that ever since I got together with my wife. My wife loves a Christmas tree. She loves a real Christmas tree. I grew up with an artificial Christmas tree. And then when I was a young man, me and my like slovenly roommates, we weren't running out getting Christmas trees, but my wife, every year we got the Christmas tree. And this means I would get the tree and we'd buy it. And, and it's charming. They cut the end and they put it in that weird orange net. And then I would sling it over my shoulders and we'd kind of schlep it back to wherever we were living at the time. And I'd be covered in pine needles and sap. And I think you can tell, like, it was a little bit of a pain. And in 2019, it was going to be an even bigger pain because we had a baby. So my wife we went out and we picked out our Christmas tree. And in New York too, it's one of those great things about New York, which is you can get almost anything if you just start walking. You just start walking in New York, you'll find what you're looking for. If whatever weird thing you want to buy a Razor scooter, just start walking. Somebody will be selling a Razor scooter. I lived in Queens. Like, literally some store will be selling any random thing you can name if you walk far enough. And we had the baby in the stroller, and about 3 or 4 blocks from our house found a couple different little setups of people selling Christmas trees. And one of them had 2 magical words that I loved so much, which was free delivery.
Oh, yeah.
Because, every year we're doing this thing and my wife's helping me with the tree and I'm all cracked out by the end and tired. And then you got to set the thing up. And I'm sitting here going, free delivery. We got the stroller with us. We won't be covered in stuff. It's like, you have at that point, 5-6-month-old baby. It's like you already have enough mess in your life, enough exhaustion. You don't need to be lugging a tree that's taller than you and then creating that mess too. So I walk up to the guy. I go, hey, it's free delivery, huh? He goes, yeah, if you live in the neighborhood. And I told him I lived about 3 blocks away, gave him the address. He said, yeah, that's in our free zone. So just tip our guy out. I said, cool. And we picked out our treat and they set it aside. And the guy said, okay, my guy George is out running deliveries right now. But when he gets back, here's the list. And 3rd or 4th on the list, I'll get to you. So just try to be home. Make sure somebody's home for the next few hours. And I said, great. So we go home. And my wife decides to go to the gym. And I was very, very happy for that because, again, anybody who has a young child knows, like, you don't always get to do things for yourself. So when my wife was like, I really could just like go stretch out and move a little bit, I said, go do it. Baby goes down for a nap. So I'm home alone and the buzzer rings. Hello. Guy's like, Christmas tree delivery. I go, cool. Elevators to the right, man. I was living pretty well at that point. I had an elevator building, no more walk up, grown up. And I go out in the hall, elevator door opens, and a cartoonish situation pours out of the elevator. This like put upon, stressed out, frazzled, like Michael Richards-esque character, like a Kramer-esque, just like lovable dope of a guy. Like he catches his toe on the way up the elevator and he kind of trips into the hallway and then He turns around to drag. They got the in New York they call them like the granny carts, like those stand up shopping carts that'll usually fold up flat and then they unfold. And people have those to go grocery shopping because when you're shopping on the city blocks, like you don't have shopping carts, you're not loading things in your car. So he's got the Christmas tree crammed into one of the granny carts, and he goes to pull that off the elevator, and the tree is too wide, and he's like cartoonish, like struggling noises, and then he finally gets the thing into the hallway, but it has jammed itself through the wiring of the granny cart, so the trunk of the tree is really crammed in there, and he's like standing on the edge of his own granny cart, like trying to hoist the tree out, like, and I'm feeling bad. He's like, no, I got it, man, I got it, and I don't want to be disrespectful because this is what he does, but then I finally am down, kind of like lifting the tree from the bottom, and he's yanking from the top, and just like, oh boy, we almost got it. Like he's like one of these guys who's just like. He's just like a train wreck in a lovable way, but in a way where you're going, buddy, how do you make it through the day? So we finally get the tree out. He's like, hi, I'm Georgie. It's nice to meet you. And I'm like, cool. And he's like, yeah, you got the base all set up? I go, yeah, I got the base all set up. He goes, great. I can set it up just a few minutes for you. Then I got you. And he's like, at this point, it's also like end of December in New York, but now he's in that bad combination of like, he's wearing like an outfit for someone who's outside in the freezing cold all day, but he's been straining so much. So now he's also like wiping sweat off his face, just like a wreck. And he comes in and he gets the tree in the stand. And my wife had a family friend who gave us a gift when Cal was born. She gave us this toy chest it's really nice. It's made of wood, and she had his name carved into the side. So the guy's setting up the tree, and it's still in the orange net, and he's like struggling, and you could tell he's like off his game now because the hallway was so strenuous, and he's like, ugh. He's down on all fours and like turning the things at the bottom of the stand to get it to catch, and it's just bumbling. And then he looks over at this toy chest, and he just goes, "Who's Caleb?" And I just kind of looked at him, and instantly my dad buzzer went off in my head. Like, he said it. I don't know how to explain it to you except to say that a different person said it. It wasn't the bumbling dude that said it. He just goes, "Who's Caleb?" And I just kind of like looked at him and didn't answer because I instantly was like, that felt weird. And he goes, "You have a son, Caleb, huh?" And I go, yeah. Caleb's my son. And he goes, how old is he? And I go, he's not even a year yet. And he's, oh, beautiful, beautiful man. And I clocked it. I was like, this is weird. And then he turns to me and he goes, I'll take this netting off for you if you got some scissors. And I go to my desk and the scissors aren't there. This is like a constant thing. Scissor placement is one of the things my wife and I have. Every couple has their things. Scissor placement is one where I go, I know that I always put the scissors back in this drawer, and then there's like 9 other drawers that my wife will tell me they're actually supposed to be in, and I thought they were on my desk, and I can't find the scissors. But what I do have in my life is I have a friend named Eli who I love to death, but he is a lovable dummy. He's one of these guys. He just likes being dumb. He's an intelligent person, but he's just enjoys just being a dummy, and he likes dumb stuff. Like, he's my friend who we used to go on the road together, and he'd like buy fireworks and set them off. And I'm like, we don't need to be buying fireworks in our 30s and setting them off while we're driving through the South. Like, you dummy. I love you, you dummy. Like, it's fun, but you're a dummy. And one thing that Eli had done a couple of years prior was he somehow found a thing where he bought like 30 knives, these like big 6-inch blades with these cheap plastic handles. And then to all our friends, he's like, what color do you want? I'm like, I don't need your weird knife. He's like, take the knife, man. I'm giving all my friends a knife. Bobby got the red knife. Eugene got the yellow knife. You want the blue knife? Take the blue knife. I'm like, why are you buying all your friends cheap pocket knives, you dummy? Like, where'd you find it? And I love this guy. I say that with love. So I I couldn't find the scissors, but I go into my desk and I realized I kept this knife in my drawer to like open packages with. So I go, I can't find the scissors. Let me grab this thing. I walk across the room and I hand this knife to this guy, George. And when I put this knife in his hand, two things happened. One is he looked down at it with the demeanor of an alcoholic who has just had a shot placed in front of him. And I will never forget the words he said, which is he looked at the knife and he goes, "Hello, beautiful," to a knife. He says, "Hello, beautiful," to a knife.
Oh my God.
And again, he said it in a way where I'm telling you, you read stories about people who are like serial killers, if I'm being honest. You know, or you watch news footage where people go, this guy lived down the block from us and he had 3 women, you know, that guy in Cleveland, where people are like, we all just lived on the block with this guy. He was just like a quiet guy, but he just seemed like he worked hard. And then he's got 3 women chained up in his house. Like, and then you find out this guy is 2 different human beings. You know what I mean? Like, he was just, he would cut your lawn for you. He'd give you the shirt off his back. And then also he had a sex dungeon, you know, that he dug in the middle of the night. And that's where all those piles of dirt were, you know, like, and the guy just goes, "Hello, beautiful," in a way where I go, this is not the guy who was out in the hallway. Like, "Oh, I can't get it. It's stuck." It's like that guy was like the 4th stooge. I guess the 5th if you count Shemp, you know, but it was like a Keystone Cops routine in my fucking hallway. And now I hand this guy a knife and he goes, "Hello, beautiful." Like this moment where I just went, what did I just do? What did I just do? Yeah. So he's cutting through the netting and he's still not good. It's not like he all of a sudden has become this. He's not teaching a master class on how to set up a Christmas tree all of a sudden. Like he still isn't good at that. It's just a different tone. So he's trying to hack his way through the netting and it's taken forever. And then all of a sudden, and we're in a New York City apartment. So the crib is at the foot of our bed in our 1-bedroom apartment. And on the other side of that wall is our kitchen. And then it opens right up into the living room where I am with George. It's a New York City apartment. So think of it as the bedroom, the bathroom, and the room I'm in with this guy. And the baby monitor is set up on the kitchen counter. And George is kind of on the other side of that. So this baby monitor is directly between me and George. And all of a sudden, I just hear, I could not believe the timing. My son wakes up early from his nap. I just hear, and George turns and looks at me with this knife in his hand and goes, "Caleb's home?" And I just knew in my heart, in that moment, I just went, I might need to kill this fucking person. This person is putting me in a position where he might need to be dead. And I started feeling that. And I'm telling you that. And parent to parent, I'm telling you it in a way where I go, not a hyperbolic thought, not a histrionic thought, just the innate knowledge of like, I handed this guy a knife. When he touched the knife, he reacted like he had just sniffed cocaine for the first time in 10 years. And now he just looked at me and made note of the fact that my son's awake and he's looking me in the eye. And it just hit me. I might need to kill this person. This feels weird and I might need to kill this guy. And it's that weird thing that I think only parents understand where I'm going, I'm not being dramatic. I'll kill him. I'll kill this guy. And I go, "Yeah, he's awake. It sounds like," and he goes, "Are you going to go get him?" And I go, "Oh, you know what? He hasn't been napping that long, George. So I'm going to see if he puts himself back down." And we just kind of looked at each other while my son's crying on the monitor. And after felt like forever, but it's probably about a minute, he goes, "I don't know if he's going to go back down. You should probably go get Caleb." And I'm sitting here and I'm going, I don't want to get my son right now. But then I'm also going, you know, maybe some of it is the Catholic upbringing. You never want to offend anybody. Then there's also a part of me going, what's going to create more tension? And I'm sitting here in my head making like snap decisions, but I'm going, in reality, if nothing was weird about this guy, I'd be getting my son right now. So let's do that, because I know that that's the normal thing to do. And he's going to see, maybe he's just a weird guy. So I go and I get my son, and he's doing the sleepy baby on my shoulder thing. And I come out, and George says, oh, he's beautiful. Look at his blue eyes. Beautiful baby. You're beautiful, Caleb. And I'm going, thank you so much, George. And he's like barely even bothering to cut away at that net with that knife. And I'm just looking at him. And we had, in the middle of my apartment, New York City apartments, you can't raise a baby in these apartments. I don't know how people do it. We have since moved back to my native land in New Jersey, but we had like a big baby cage set up in the middle so we could plop him down and he could play. So I just put my son down in the middle of the baby cage, and I put my back to my son. I'm directly between my son and this man's view of my son. I just look at him. I go, hey, you know what, man? Like, he's awake. I got to deal with him. So you got the thing almost all the way off. I'll finish taking the net off. And George then proceeds to make a choice where I will tell you, he ruined a piece of my childhood, and I think my son's childhood forever. This guy, and I wish I could do the voice, proceeds to look at my son and go, Caleb, do you like George? In a Donald Duck voice, like a nightmare Donald Duck voice. He starts going, Caleb, do you like Georgie? Oh, do you like George? And my son, who is a sweet boy, he can be a shy kid, but he wants to have a good time. He's a nice, sweet, well-intentioned boy. He really is. He goes, Caleb, do you like George? And my son bursts out crying quicker than he ever has after one sentence from another human being. I've never seen my son instinctively react more poorly to anyone than this knife-wielding Christmas tree delivery man who's decided he's going to impersonate Donald Duck. So I go, oh, he's just waking up, George. Don't take it personal. And he goes, I guess he doesn't like me. I don't know. Kids don't like me sometimes. I go, do you have kids? He goes, no, but the kids I meet, they don't like me. And I'm going, whoa, that's a scary thing to say. This is a scary thing to say. So he keeps doing the Donald Duck voice, and my son's just looking at him. And George walks up to the edge of the baby cage, and he's doing this Donald Duck voice with my son. And it hits a point where I'm sincerely going, okay. He's now close enough to my son that I don't want to step over to the kitchen area to get a butcher knife. I guess he's got his shoulder towards me. I don't know which hands he has that knife in. I think if I start floating back now, he won't notice that I'm trying to get behind him. I guess I might just choke him to death. And I'm sitting here legitimately going, I think probably that's it. Yeah, I don't think I have time to get my own weapon, so I'll probably just try to fucking choke him to death. All in front of my young son, my not even a year-old son. This kid's 6, 7, 8 months old, maybe April to December. So I'm sitting here going, I could kill this guy. And it's really hitting a porch where George is going, wow, he really doesn't like me. Caleb really doesn't like me. And I finally just turn to him and I go, George, I got the tree. You're going to go now. And it was this moment where he could tell, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe he's just a weird guy. Maybe he's just a weird guy who had a long day and he's tired from dropping off trees. Or maybe he was a guy who did, in fact, have these different personalities inside him and that I suck him. Maybe I was just a dad who hadn't slept in 6 months and was seeing more than there was. I don't know. But what I do know is when I said that, he turned and he looked at me, and there was this beat where it really felt to me like I might as well have just said, like, I'm calling your bluff, dude. It's time to go, or it's time to make your move. Like, that was my tone. And he just looked at me. And he was like, you sure you don't want me to finish that net? And I go, no, I got the net, George. You're going to go now. And I tip him. I put the tip in his hand because I had the tip in my pocket because I had been told you got to tip out. So I knew. I go, I'm tipping this guy. That's when you leave. Nobody's sticking around after they get their tip. Not in New York City. People got other places to do. You got other trees to drop off, man. So I put the tip in his hand. I go, I got the net, George. It's time to go. And we have this like slow walk back to the front door. And it was like the most tense 10 seconds. I've never even really told my wife she came home later and saw how scared I was. I've never really told her how scared I was, though, because I'm still sitting there going, float like a step and a half behind this guy. Don't walk shoulder to shoulder, because if he makes a move, you want time to react. Like, I'm honestly thinking things like this. And we get to the front door and I open it and I go, thank you so much. And he goes, yeah, bye, man. Bye, Caleb. And he wasn't even 2 inches away from the door, and I slammed the door shut and I throw the deadbolt. And anybody who's been in a New York City apartment building knows, like, you hear the deadbolt. And I throw the deadbolt, and I tell you, I waited about 5 seconds of just like letting out a breath, going like, the fuck's going on? And then I looked through the peephole, and my door was right next to the elevator. And here's where I swear, there's 2 things that I will end the story on, where I will swear to you, I wasn't wrong, and I almost had to kill a guy. I think I came a couple minutes away from either dying or killing a guy. I was on the 3rd floor. He had that granny cart with him. It took a minute for that elevator to get there. The elevator always waited at the bottom floor. I waited about 5 seconds. I looked through my peephole. He had taken off for the steps. He got out of there. He knew I sensed something was up with him, and he grabbed that thing and he ran. He didn't wait for the elevator. He got out of there too. And the other thing, I have searched my house high and low. I have moved since this story took place. I unpacked everything in that desk because we got rid of that desk. I boxed up the stuff I wanted to keep. I threw out everything. I have not seen that blue knife since I put it in that man's hand. And I have never been able to hear Donald Duck again. My son has some Mickey Mouse bath toys. I put the Donald Duck one away when we got it. He can play with Goofy and Pluto all he wants. Don't put the fucking... He can play with Daisy Duck too. Donald Duck is not going in the bath with you. And I tell you, I learned in that moment. It really was. I was like, I might kill and you might die, George.
Wow. Is that an intense story or what? Holy cow. I told him when we recorded this in 2021, I told him this is a screenplay, or maybe even just a play. You can just see it. It's so intense. A 2-man play. Oh, I love it. Just really a talented writer and comedian. And of course, the writer's strike is going on right now, you guys. So that's pretty horrible. And it's going to affect you a lot more coming up this fall when there's no new programming. But it is unfortunate, but I think they're going to win. I think the writers are going to win this one, and we'll see. Anyway, you guys, again, thank you so much for listening to Storyworthy. It means everything to me. Storyworthy is my ground control. You know what I mean? Like, I live and breathe Storyworthy, and I'm so glad you guys are listening. You can join my newsletter, which I don't send out as often as I should, but I will. You'll see. You're going to get a newsletter, and you just go over to storyworthypodcast.com and sign up. All right, you guys. On behalf of the very talented Chris Gethard, my name is Christine Blackburn, saying, make it a Storyworthy week.
Thanks for joining us on the Storyworthy Podcast. We'll be back next week with all new stories. Subscribe to Storyworthy on iTunes and visit the Storyworthy website at storyworthypodcast.com.
The holidays start here at Baker's with a variety of options to celebrate traditions old and new. You could do a classic herb-roasted turkey or spice it up and make turkey tacos. Serve up a go-to shrimp cocktail or use Simple Truth wild-caught shrimp for your first Cajun risotto. Make creamy mac and cheese or a spinach artichoke fondue from our selection of Murray's cheese. No matter how you shop, Baker's has all the freshest ingredients to embrace all your holiday traditions. Baker's, fresh for everyone.